Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by, well, we've given him his own chair today, haven't we, Steve? It's John Mackenzie.
My knees have recovered from earlier in the week, it's fine.
And you've got a microphone as well. Also here, lead scriptwriter for Tifo Football, it's Kaya Kainak.
Hi.
I've actually read what Steve's written for once, and I think that's the first time I've ever said your job title.
That's the first time I've heard it. I didn't know that's what I did here, so it's good to know.
Well,
yeah.
welcome to the Athletic.
Thanks.
You'll work more out as you get along. Just as this guy knows. What does Steve say about you, Amatai? He's a senior editor at The Athletic with a focus on transfers. It's Amatai Winehouse.
That is me, although I had to think this morning as to what to say my job title was.
Right, yeah. Is it just senior editor?
Senior editor, yeah.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
I'm no longer focused on transfers. The window's closed.
I don't want to upset you, but I do feel like everyone's a senior something or other.
There's people. Funnily enough, senior doesn't mean the most senior.
No, it doesn't.
There's more. There's more senior people.
There's the extra senior, I think they call them, isn't it? Or
Ultra.
Seniorist. That's it. Yeah, I can't wait until you're the seniorist editor here. But I think we'll be waiting a long time. Oh, double slam dunk on Amatai, who was terrific on today's episode. I don't know why I've gone in so hard on him. You know, I know why. It's because we didn't talk about this on the podcast, but it's because he thought that Jonah was before Moses in the timeline, the Bible timeline. But don't worry, that's not on today's episode. That happened before we even began. Anyway, thanks for being here, Amatai. And sorry, I'm such a dick. Amatai's partly here because we have a transfer-related podcast today, or most of it, and Amatai has been a transfer editor over the transfer window, and now I'm remembering, as I say, transfer over and over again, where we started the episode with John criticising my accent and being somehow some kind of a flagrant bully, I think is the term, isn't it?
It's true. But I learned from the best, so...
Thank you. It's very kind of you. Okay. We talk about the best and worst transfers. Who's smashed it and who's f***ed it, wrote Steve. It's very illiberal for Steve,
not like
isn't it?
Steve, is it?
Not like him at all.
He has put two asterisks in there.
Yeah.
But it's funny because who puts two? That's you either do like all of them apart from the first and last, or you do one.
Or you do one,
and it's the vowel.
Doing one feels like you just sort of, you know, you're not covering anything. But then to be honest, like if you saw F and then three asterisks, it's not. We all know what that means, right?
He's also done two before CK, so it looks like two U's, like
Yeah, it's going to be a completely different word here.
That's true. You've added an extra one in. Who smashed it and who's f***ed it? We find out on this episode. Also, which footballers have the most Hobbit-like names? We talked about that briefly. Which club, quote, won the window? Who knows? I'm not sure. I can't actually remember what anybody said. Where can you go in the UK? Oh, for a flaming discharge. Yes, that's right, listeners. We talk about Warwick Castle again. One of the great castles out there.
We truly are a Warwick Castle podcast these days.
I think we should aim to do a live performance at the Warwick Castle.
That would be amazing.
That would be great.
Yeah.
You know, where the falconry set is perfect for it. They've got seats already.
Maybe they would roll out the trebuchet for us.
I think I would say, can we set JJ Bull on fire and set him out of the trebuchet? He could guide his way down to safety and not set any barns or historic boathouses on fire. And that's mostly the show. Oh, no, apart from that, we talk at the end about a very seismic tactical update from John Mackenzie, who now thinks Manchester City is That's happened in the course of 1 week. He missed one Monday podcast episode, and my world has been changed. So stick around and find out what John terms as bozo moments from Manchester City. And that's the show. Did we miss anything?
That's good. That's good.
That's about it, yeah. Okay, well, the summer transfer window is closed.
No one says transfer apart from you.
The summer transfer window is closed.
Do you say
John.
transfer?
No one says transfer. I can't even say it. I can't even say it.
What do you? You're from Leeds, though.
Yeah, I say.
Of course, you don't say transfer. You say transfer.
Yeah, in the same way I say grass.
I was educated at a Northwest London private school, and I said transfer.
Yeah, but that's because of all the transferring of all the funds at the school. You know, the normal people like me from the south, and I'm from Lancaster. You'll remember, John. And from
South
Ireland,
Lancaster.
we all say Lancaster and transfer. Thank you very much. Anyway, the transfer window. Oh, it's closed. It's closed. For most European leagues, anyway, it's closed. For most people who say transfer, it's closed. And it's been an absolutely huge one. Just in the Premier League, 155 players have been purchased for a combined, get this, £3.11 billion,
I did
which
look
for
this up.
Americans is what is that? Do you know the top of your head?
I think I looked this up yesterday. It's about $3.6 billion.
Oh my God. It must be more than that.
I looked up
it?
GDPs to see where this got you. It's not actually that high, $3.3 billion.
I think it's double the GDP of the Isle of Wight.
something like that.
Oh, man.
But I did then was
And
I was
David
like,
Icke lives on the Isle of Wight. He's probably got quite a big net worth, just personally, you know.
I basically worked out it was obviously 3 months long the transfer window. So if we multiply it by 4,
Right.
that gets us to 12 billion, which is just above
Fair.
the GDP of Kosovo and
Right.
Montenegro. So
There's a lot of assumptions you've made there, though.
There
For example,
are-
if
there
the
are.
transfer window were to be open for a year, would this business may well be spread
no, but your
throughout the
GDP.
year.
I'm just making a speculative. I'm making people aware of how much money this is.
I'm making people, and you included, aware that when you are exceptionally pedantic about everything I say,
I don't think I'm exceptionally
Just
pedantic.
minorly.
I don't think I would ever pull you up on anything. To be honest.
within moments of this episode
Within
beginning.
moments like this, yeah.
Anyway, £3.11 billion. Serie A, the Bundesliga, La Liga, and Liga combined spent £2.8 billion, which is kind of scary in and of itself because A, that's a huge amount of money, and B, it's not even as much as the Premier League on its own. So it's scary for two different reasons. Amatai,
Yes.
do you think you could name for me off the top of your head the top 10 most expensive transfers in Europe, or actually anywhere in the world, but they're all in Europe this summer?
I'll give it a go.
All right, go try.
Okay, so Isaac.
Yeah, that's number 1. That was 120 million euros.
Yeah, Wirtz.
Wirtz is number 2.
Ekitike.
Yeah, number 3. But you've got 4.
I've got 4. Voltemade, is he in there?
Voldemada's number 4.
He's
I think that's including like all potential
Yeah.
add-ons and stuff. So that's why he's number 4. Yeah.
Then who else moved? This is where the post-window haze comes in.
Well, you're missing a couple of players to the same club.
Same
There's quite a
club.
few to that.
João
same
Pedro.
club.
João Pedro is not in the top 10.
He's not in the top 10.
No.
Oh, Reinders.
Nope.
So Man U have spent money on people.
That's true, they have.
Sesko.
Shesko's in there at number 5.
They have also signed. Mbumo
and Burmo's in at number 7.
and Cunha.
Yeah, Matthias Cunha's in at number 8.
Okay, Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz is in at number 10. Yeah, 70 million euros.
So Huijsen not in the list.
Huijsen hasn't
He was
made
only
the
50
list.
mil.
He was only 50 mil.
Which I'm
Only
not,
50 mil
I'm not sure
after
that
half a
even...
season
that falls out of my
bonus, yeah.
back pocket every week.
That basically doesn't get you top... That barely gets you into the top 20. Huijsen is 18.
At 50 mil. Wow. Okay.
So there's two... There's
There's
one more...
There's one Arsenal.
There's an Arsenal player on here. Yeah.
Zubimendi?
It's Zubimendi, yeah.
And
And then the final one, if I give you the league,
Yeah.
this player has joined the Super League, the Turkish Super League.
Oh, I know who this is.
player joining the Turkish Super League.
It's Victor Osimhen joining Galatasaray.
Of course, what made permanent?
For 75 million euros.
I feel like that can't count. He was on loan there.
It's in the game.
It's a cruel game.
That's
Yeah.
a really harsh.
Anyway, that's just an example of the crazy money being spent and thrown around this window. Literally thrown. I've seen people throwing money at each other out of trains, football trains. Anyway, I thought today we could spend a little bit of time looking back on what was not just a big transfer window. Also, it felt very long. There are a number of transfers that happened before the Club World Cup that feel like they happened in a different window altogether. So let's begin by discussing first, please, everyone's favourite transfer. This can be interpreted however you choose. Doesn't have to be one that you think is the best or one that you think a player will do particularly well. Just for whatever reason, it's your favourite, and you can explain why. Amatai, what has been your favourite transfer of this transfer window?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I'm going to go with Wirtz to Liverpool
Florian Wirtz.
because showing my own lack of ball knowledge, I don't think I'd have watched him play for Bayer Leverkusen very much. And I have watched most of Liverpool's games so far this season.
Right.
And he's quite fun to watch.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he's my favourite transfer, because I was never going to watch him.
No,
And
that's absolutely fine.
yeah. I'm just going to be honest here.
I think that's a good reason. Also, it leads me to introduce earlier than I thought I might. But anyway, Tim Spears of The Athletic wrote a great piece ranking all 155 Premier League transfers this summer. from worst to best. If you want like the specific categories for how he's come up with this, you can discover them. But Florian Wirtz, little surprisingly, because the top 10 is filled with players with names we all recognise, Tim has Florian Wirtz down in 24th.
Yeah, and I edited that piece,
Did
so
you?
maybe I should have called him out on that. But
why do you think Tim's put him there? Like, why are there people who are uncertain about him still?
I think he was a lot of money. That's fundamentally true. He, I think, hasn't provided an assist or scored a goal yet.
Right. I can't believe it. Isn't it just 2 games? Isn't it 3 games?
3 games. 3 games.
Okay.
But no, he's doing a lot of the good work before players score goals, right?
Sure.
But like numbers wise, he hasn't produced anything yet. And I think the other thing is that it's a risk, right? Like it's the signing Liverpool have made that if he just plays well in a year, are we going, well, Florian Wirtz doesn't score goals, he doesn't provide assists. Is this a bad signing?
Like Kai Havertz.
Yeah, like Havertz, or I'm trying to think of another good example here. Just you stand up.
What was that noise?
Steve got really upset when I said that.
Yeah, I think
Havertz scores goals.
Havertz has been a good sign.
Havertz Chelsea, I'm talking about.
They're fine. Yeah.
Well, he also scored goals.
He did win them the Champions League.
Yeah.
It's 1 goal.
What's 1 goal in it?
No, to be fair though, to me, he was an example of a very young, exciting, super hyped German player.
Timo Werner, that might be a more fitting.
No, it's less good. It's less good than what I said. Stop talking again. Anyway, carry on. What were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's probably why Tim put him 25th. 25 out of 155.
24.
24 out of 155. It's not bad.
25 is Gianluigi Donnarumma. So,
yeah.
we'll come to him later. Maybe we will. Not bad at all. You've got opinions on him though, don't you, John?
Florian?
Yeah.
Florian?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Florian
I love him.
Wirtz.
I think he's great.
Right. Would you have put him higher than 24 if you were ranking them all?
I think I would.
Right.
Because I think he's a really unique player. And there's not a huge amount of players who do what he does in the world, let alone in the Premier League. So it's always good to have those players coming through to the Premier League. Whether or not I think he's best served at Liverpool is another argument entirely.
Oh, this is true. You said this to me the other day that you thought maybe he would be better at a different team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that Liverpool do don't suit him as much as some of the things other teams do. But then having said that, like, who are the other teams? Man City are falling off a cliff again. And, Arsenal hate being in the final third, which is where he likes to be.
Sure.
That's not fair, is it, really? they love being in the
I'm
final
not.
third.
I'm just not saying anything.
I've heard Kai Havertz doesn't score any goals either.
You upset him. Look at him.
No comment.
But yeah, I think my favourite player of the signing is Sean Longstaff. No. Weirdly, I'm going to say...
Where did Sean Longstaff go?
Leeds.
Did he go to Leeds?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, we had the Sean Longstaff derby in the last match week.
Oh, I'm so glad one of the Longstaffs finally left because they keep talking.
They
about
the other one has also
gone,
left.
The other one left as well.
There's no Longstaffs in Newcastle.
The Longstaffs are all gone from
Yeah.
Newcastle. When did that happen? When did the other one go?
Aberdeen, I
It
want to
sounds
say.
like-
Aberdeen.
it sounds like-
the
He's definitely
JJ
been-
Bull
Sounds like
derby.
gossip in the Shire. This.
Yeah.
He's definitely been like,
There's no
away.
more Longstaffs.
I haven't been to the village of Bree for some time.
No more Longstaffs there.
Wow.
But I'm gonna. So my favourite one, I think, because I watch Bournemouth every week, because I'm weird, and Ben Gannon Doak, as we have to call him now, is gone to Bournemouth, and I'm excited about that because I think he has the potential to be a really exciting player,
Right.
for a team who play really exciting football. So that's my low key excitement.
Why do we have to
signing.
call him that?
He's decided that he wants to acknowledge both of his parents. I believe.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
I think so too.
I heard that Erling Haaland is doing that on his Norway kit.
Yeah, he's added Braut. I think
Erling
that's how
Braut
to pronounce it,
Haaland, yeah. Which is a cooler name.
I think
anyway, isn't
think
it?
it's also how he was referred to when he was a youth player.
Yeah.
He
Really?
started
Yeah.
off as Braut.
Erling
Haaland.
Braut.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Luke,
What would that make? What would
Butterfield.
that make you?
Oh, that
Don't say your mother's maiden name on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Actually, it's a security risk. Was this just an attempt to scam me out of my internet account?
I can't wait to log into your save file on Last of Us 2. That's going to be great fun. Okay, fine.
I'm now
You
looking through
picked a
the
Bournemouth
list.
player.
I'm now looking through the list of signed players to look for people who have names like hobbits.
Right.
And there's a guy called Luke Butterfield, which is quite good, isn't it?
That's nice, yeah.
I'm pretty
Dibbling is a hobbit name.
Yeah,
Dibbling's
I'm
quite
pretty
obviously.
sure they told the Dibblings that that Frodo was moving to a certain part of the Shire when he was actually leaving the Shire.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Kaya? What has been your favourite transfer?
My
of the summer?
favourite transfer of the summer has been Eberechi Eze to Arsenal, but not for the obvious reasons.
Right.
That I mean, obviously the Spurs element of it is fun, but there's the heartwarming story of it all. Him leaving Arsenal when he was younger, him coming back to Arsenal,
Being saved from Crystal Palace.
being saved from Crystal
I
Palace.
think we should emphasise that aspect of it, right? Now he's finally made it. I think.
He's finally made it now.
I think that was the wording that Ruben wanted us to stress. He's
Yeah.
finally made it.
He let it all work out, and yeah. But I also think he offers Arsenal something that they've lacked for a very long time, which is that when they do get to the final third, I know they don't like going there very often, but when they get there, they need some sort of creative spark, and Eberechi Eze can provide that for them.
I hope he does, because I'd love to watch even just one Arsenal game this season where he does something special.
But
And then I go,
in like 5 minutes against Liverpool, he already the way he sort of flicks it around someone's eye is like, yeah, okay, this is definitely what Arsenal have been lacking, and it's quite exciting to see that as an addition to Arsenal.
Let's see, shall we, where Tim. But I hope this podcast just becomes like ragging on Tim Spears for putting them all in the wrong
He had
places.
Polina number 1, right?
I thought that was... I
was going
21st.
No, we were saving that up for later.
were we?
I mean, the article's been published. Anyone could have read
We're
it already.
talking about the article now.
Eberechi Eze is 21st. 21st. So ahead of
Can we have the
Florian
top?
Wirtz. I'll give you the top ones now. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's do it from 5 down, just because that's how they do it on TV. I've lost the article
5 up.
page. It's down in front of me. I guess it's up, depending on what perspective. But we've had this conversation before about how you envisage stuff. Didn't we talk about this with like how you see the calendar
I think
in
if
your
someone
mind?
said to me 5 down, I would think 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Would you?
I think so.
But
Because
that's
the
literally
countdown is
counting
5,
up.
4,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, but it's also counting up, right? Counting down. When have we talked about how people envisage the calendar?
How do you
We've
envisage
talked
the
about
calendar?
this, yeah.
We have talked about this. I envisage it as a circle with December at the top, but January is like anti-clockwise, February around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How do you envisage it?
I sort of maybe this is because I have no creative spark whatsoever, but I just picture it as the calendar that's on the wall.
No, lots of people do.
Yeah.
Lots of people do.
Linear versus circular time, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. In at number 5, I'll be curious to know how he envisages a calendar. It's Alexander Isak. I think he just envisages it with like X on deadline day, and then the next day is him moving into a house in Liverpool. That's considered the 5th best transfer of the summer. £125 million fee, a reported contract length of 6 years. There you go, very exciting. In at number 4, it's a Bournemouth player, John. Adrian Truffert, is that how you say the name?
Yeah.
Truffert.
Truffert.
Adrian Truffert.
Trafford sounds like another Hobbit name, potentially.
Truffert.
£14.4 million with add-ons. It's a 5-year deal. He was the captain of Rennes. Yeah, and now he's moved to Bournemouth. Have you seen him play already?
Yes, indeed.
Right. In at number 3, Rayan Cherki. Lyon to Manchester City. That was £36.3 million. A lot less than many of the other transfers we've been talking. I mean, Rayan Cherki was cheaper than Jacob Ramsey.
I think that's why he's number 3.
Right.
I think it's because it's like he probably should have cost more money.
Maybe he should have. It seems as though he should have cost more money. Yeah, okay, fine. Number 2 is Esteval to Chelsea, which after watching him for 5 minutes, I completely understand. I'm already entirely enthralled to that guy. And then Joao Polina from Bayern Munich to Tottenham. It's a loan. It's just 1-year deal for now. Do you know if there's any means of firming that up more, making it permanent?
I actually don't off the top of my head.
Fine.
I can Google it, but like
No,
I don't know for sure. But like
That's absolutely fine.
I think when Tim sent me the list of players, it like as he was writing it, and I saw Polina at number 1. It was one of those moments where I was like, I didn't think about this at all. I thought he'd put like Wirtz, or he'd put probably Isak, or he'd put, to be honest, any of the sort of big signings Liverpool made.
Any of the actual good
signings.
signings.
Any of them towards top. But then I saw that and I was actually like, no, that actually makes loads of sense. They've not presumably not paid like a significant fee for him.
Yeah.
He resolves an issue that Spurs have.
He's been really good.
He's
so
been
far.
really good. Yeah.
He got hooked after 50 minutes in the last game.
Did he?
Yeah.
No, I base everything on the first 2 games of the season.
Fair. Change the order now, right?
Well, there you go. Anyway, that is the order. Do you think there's any special players missing, John?
I think Ekitike, you could arguably have higher up that list.
Ekitike was in the top 5 until on transfer deadline day when Alexander Isak snuck in, because Ekitike is number 6.
I think Madueke I would probably have higher up that list just because I feel as though he's gone under the radar a little bit, I think.
He's number 101.
Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, I would have him higher than that. I don't think Chelsea should have sold him really, but I guess they have so many players coming in that they have to move players on. So and Chelsea, I suppose, have done well getting fees for players this window. It's super important for you to sell players in a PSR landscape, and I think they've made the record for amounts of sales. Mate, are we going to talk about that later as well?
Maybe. Well, I can say now that Tim has included in the Noni Madueke section. In the negatives, can be injury prone, can be inconsistent, his end product needs work, and the fee is very large for what is more likely to be a backup.
I think the
forward.
same is true of Garnacho as well, though. Like, I think Garnacho, we'll look back at that and think, why on earth did Man United sell this player? I mean,
he's in at number 105.
We've got very different lists.
We should
basically flip the list upside down, and that's the order that I would have.
So your number one would be better now.
Yeah, that's straight in there. I think that's a really smart. You've got to sort out your third goalkeeper, I think, before you can sort anything else out.
On Garnacho, though, I'm going to jump ahead slightly in the plan, just to talk about later. We were going to discuss like players that we've forgotten even moved. You know, maybe because the transfer window's been so long, maybe because there were so many towards the end that they just went under the radar. The one that I had included for me on this list was Jamie Gittins, who moved to Chelsea to play on the left wing, presumably where Garnacho is also going to challenge for a role.
Did they sign him? Oh, they didn't. They tried to sign him ahead of the Club World Cup, didn't they? And then they didn't manage to do it.
But then they got him shortly afterwards.
Yeah, and they played him once, I think, and then...
Well, it was the biggest transfer of that week, I remember, when the activity was very quiet around that time. It was quite a big story at the time. And I was really excited to see that. But now I feel as though he's immediately gone into like that rotational... Yeah.
I feel like that's been like a position Chelsea have been trying to improve on for about 2-3 windows.
Yeah.
With him and Garnacho being like the primary target for that length of time as well. So presumably there's a plan there between the two of them.
It's quite weird that as well, isn't it? Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I think there was about maybe a 5 to 8 year period where every elite Premier League team was like fully stacked at left forward, left wing, where all the players, all the right-footed players started to invert. It was like the Eden Hazard era, where everyone was desperate for someone to play on the right because there just weren't any left-footers and everyone was inverting. And now I feel like we're kind of in an inverse situation where most teams have right wing sorted.
It's not a great left wing market in general. If you look at the players out there available and the money that left wingers have been going for this summer, there's been a bit of a dearth of quality. And if you look at maybe some of the bigger left wing names like a Nico Williams, for example, who would have maybe been able to move, he ended up staying at Bilbao. So a lot of the options that could have moved ended up staying as well. So
Andrea Berta here, just getting his excuses in early.
Yep.
Well, here's other transfers that we might have forgotten about just if we're doing this section now. We've already kind of mentioned Dean Howson, but he's on the list just simply because he moved so early. Joao Pedro you also mentioned, but again, I think it's easy to forget that he moved this window. And then also, it feels like it happened a whole year ago, but Son left Tottenham in this window.
Is that because he was on the fringes last season? Like it's almost like it was the long goodbye.
It was the long goodbye, I guess, right? Like it was known for a long time that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's weird to me. I think in years to come, I don't know if I will remember that Son left in the same window that Isak moved to Liverpool, for example. Like they feel like very different eras.
I think also the fact that he had his final game in South Korea on a pre-season tour is like, for a player of his significance, is quite bizarre. Like one of my favourite things about football is players in the kits they should never have worn. So it's like you go through the photo archives and you're like, oh yeah, we've got a photo of, and this is a good example of it, Son wearing Spurs kit from this season, despite never playing a competitive game in that kit.
Yeah.
It's just like it's one of those images that I just find really funny. It's really strange for some reason.
Or Harry Kane wearing an Arsenal shirt. That was one that was never meant to be either.
Yeah. But the fact that he didn't say almost like he didn't say goodbye in North London, he said goodbye in South Korea. Is like, I guess I don't know how a Spurs fan would feel, but they didn't get the actual opportunity to say goodbye to him, so he almost left. I don't know. It's like he left out the back.
Night.
Yeah, left in the night out the back door without actually,
I wonder for him if it was like weird timing, because obviously they won the Europa League to then go and announce, oh, by the way, I'm off, sort of bring everyone down after such a massive high.
I'm guessing it's to do with the fact that they were playing in South Korea and he sort of was contractually obliged to play in that game. Well, not contractually, but like...
Maybe he wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Okay. Steve includes here that Matty Longstaff is now in Canada. He was at Toronto FC and is now at Club de Foot Montreal, where they speak French. You've added that little bit there at the end, haven't you? Where they speak French.
In the club. This sounds like they just...
I'm in the club in the region of Canada.
They speak Quebecois.
I just like that you've included that. Sorry, Steve, just for Arsenal balance, I think we should say in Toronto FC where they speak English, just to make it absolutely clear. Anyway, next section. Who is the player that at the end of this season we'll look back and we'll say, oh, that was a good transfer. That was the best transfer. What do you think, Amatai?
I think it's not going to be Sesko.
Okay.
That's my like...
Well, the next one...
Yeah, sorry to spoil the next section.
It's like the player, the inverse of this.
Yeah.
But should we do that one first? I mean, we can if you want to start there. Okay, fine. In which case, who's the player at the end of the season we'll look back and say that hasn't worked at all?
I think it's going to be Benjamin Sesko.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I probably spend too much time on the phone with Seb Stafford-Bloor.
Who? Who's that?
Well... Yeah, he does stuff with you guys, right?
Oh, the bald guy. Yeah,
he lives in Germany, I think.
I actually think it's Austria, but yeah.
Yeah, one of those places. He's said all along that he doesn't think he's the finished article.
Right.
And I think the fact that he was the striker that kind of dragged towards the end of the striker chase was quite symbolic. Like every club, or at least a lot of the big clubs, it felt like had the option of signing Sesko and chose not to do so.
Yes.
And
that's true, actually. It felt a little bit like when Manchester United signed him. On the one hand, you think, well, that seems like a coup. All these other teams were interested. And then you go, oh, maybe that's how it happened.
And for some reason, and obviously Newcastle were in the race for him and he ended up picking Man U. I feel like Newcastle were just operating in a market that almost doesn't feel right for the actual level of competition they play at. Like they are a Champions League team. I feel like they were operating in like a Europa League market almost.
Yeah.
So I feel like them missing out on him doesn't almost like boost Man U's credentials on that. I just think he's probably the numbers aren't there for him in playing in probably a weaker league as well. Right. This is where Seb would be annoyed at me. Yeah. Playing in a weaker league. I just don't think people are going to look back on this one fondly.
I think that's fair. I mean, the two things I will say that I have heard about or read about Benjamin Sesko that maybe stand in his favour are he kicks the ball really, really hard. That's the number one thing that people keep telling me. He's an incredible ball striker. And the other is that he's just super tall. And I feel like a combination of those two things must equal goals. But maybe that's not true, John. Am I just wishful thinking there? Because I myself am a tall man and an incredible ball striker.
I don't know. I think I feel sort of relatively positive about Sesko in general. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether or not he'll be great for Man United this season, but I understand why Man United went for a player like him. And yeah, I think there is plenty of scope for him to develop. And we talked about this before, but he has just incredible physical attributes, which, physicality is where the Premier League is at. You can't teach people to be more physical, right? That's one of the few things you can really impact. So I think the idea being that he has that, and he has certain technical attributes which need honing, but if you're basically gambling, I think for them that he will become, £100 million striker, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, who's your player that you think will look back at the end of the season and go, that has not worked out?
It's hard to like do this without sounding negative about players. So I think Gianluigi Donnarumma, if that doesn't work out
at Manchester
City,
who we assume will be the first choice goalkeeper.
Yeah, you would assume. If that doesn't work out, then it's going to be very obvious why it hasn't worked out. So I think.
Do you mean because he's not as good with his feet?
In part. Yeah. I think it's quite a complex topic. Like, what do you expect to get from him with Man City? Because the league is evolving in certain ways. City are evolving in certain ways, mainly poor at the moment.
They do need someone to stop them conceding goals.
Sure, and that will, and no doubt he'll be good from a shot stopping perspective. But I think if the reality is that people think, oh well, if the way the game is being played is evolving, that means that City might just be happy going more direct from like the goalkeeper, right, and just going long, which assumes that a goalkeeper is still good with their feet, right? And also raises the question, why did you get rid of Edison, who is the best goalkeeper in the world, from going direct? But the other thing that I've sort of noticed, I've been digging through some of the numbers, is that as City have got worse at build-up through the years, it's meant they've had more touches in the defensive third than they have in previous seasons, which
really you need
makes sense, right?
With techers.
Yeah, I think that the result of that is, okay, maybe they're going to just change their play style and it's going to be based around trying to get the ball out of their own third as quickly as possible. I don't know. But even when you're doing that, you still have to have a keeper who's good with their feet, because you've got to still... The Liverpool-Arsenal game is a really good example of this from the weekend, because in the first half, Arsenal were able to stop... Liverpool want to possess the ball in their own third, find the correct exits to get the ball forward when possible. They still need to possess the ball in their own third to do that. And in the first half, Arsenal were very good at stopping them from doing that. And so in the end, all Liverpool could do is just go long in less sustainable manner. So they lost the ball. They had no control of the game. In the second half, they changed things up. So they suddenly started having settled possession in their back line, and suddenly their progression got much better, right? That's the issue. You still need your goalkeeper and your back line to be functional enough to get into that settled possession phase, so you can then play direct. And so I think that some people are maybe suggesting that, well, it doesn't matter if they're going to start going direct. Well, sure, but all that's going to happen is that he's going to be playing balls long to Haaland, right? And then it just becomes whether or not you can win those second balls. That I don't think that Guardiola is going to go down that route. If anything is going to change, he's probably just going to have, we need to just try and get into settled possession and then work out what we're going to do from there. So I don't think you can just we can't just wiggle out of that argument and say it doesn't matter if he's bad with his feet, because the way that the game is going has changed. So that's a long-winded way of saying, I think if whatever they try and do doesn't really work out, it'll be very obvious it hasn't worked out, because he will do some of the things that we've seen James Trafford doing already, losing the ball in dangerous areas. They've already given a goal in that way. And then if he does have to then immediately go long more, I don't think his long passing is good. Just because he's not good at short passing doesn't mean he's therefore great at long passing. And I think people will start saying City just aren't able to control the ball anymore. And so, that would be the one that I think is probably the easiest to point out and say it's quite obviously not worked out.
Okay, good answer. Let's go to an advertisement break. Please enjoy the adverts. Did you like those? Hey? Woo! Kaya. Who's the player at the end of the season that you will be looking back and thinking, oh, that wasn't a very good...
I'll be honest, my one was Donnarumma as well.
Was it?
John's kind of taken it from me and put it quite eloquently, which is quite annoying.
Wow.
Yeah, you've been scuppered there.
Been scuppered.
Pick another.
Marcus Bettinelli.
Please elaborate.
I just scrolled to the top of Tim Spears' thing and went for the 151st.
He's the fourth choice keeper at Man City.
That is wild.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need 4 goalkeepers.
What a job. I aspire to be the 4th choice goalkeeper at Manchester
City. You basically
City.
are the 4th choice goalkeeper at Manchester City. Who else have we got up here at the very top of Tim's
Can I say
list?
one thing on Donnarumma just to add to what John was saying?
Yeah.
Better be eloquent.
I'll try. I was speaking to Jordan Campbell, who's doing City now, and he made an interesting point that he thought maybe...
Who's covering Manchester City for The Athletic?
Indeed, sorry. Yeah. Again, I'm not as eloquent as John. Enough. This is the issue.
That was very ineloquent.
I'm going to put my finger for how eloquent I think he's been.
Yeah.
So he
the whole time.
See it.
Camera stay on John, please.
All right. Okay, so basically he was saying that he thought Pep Lijnders' influence might be an interesting point as to why they are going a bit more direct. If you look at the way Klopp's Liverpool teams were playing, Lijnders coming into Man City might make sense as to why they are trying to sign
This is very phone home, isn't it? Yeah, listeners won't understand that bit, but you know what? Them. Yeah, I don't even like them anyway. Get on the YouTubes, and if you are on YouTube, please subscribe, because even though get them. Let me do that bit again. We had to cut that bit. But please subscribe to the YouTube. Please subscribe, because when it happens in unexplainable large numbers, it is very funny to watch the people who do analytics here try to work out why. Oh, I do love my job. Okay, now, who's the player that at the end of the season, Amatai, will say was the best transfer? And this time, actually answer the question and don't say Benjamin Sesko.
I'm gonna answer the question. João Pedro.
Oh.
I think that having immediately watched him in the Club World Cup, I thought.
You immediately watched him.
Well, no, literally, but he was almost immediately into the team.
It was
had no preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, like it made me suspicious about how much coaches actually teach players because he just started playing for Chelsea really well.
A relationist is here.
Yeah,
how exciting!
There we go. Yeah, but I think that Chelsea have improved like significantly since he stepped into the team. I think that when they've played Delap and then he's come on and played up front, they've looked noticeably better when he's been on the pitch. I mean, it's pure eye test, but I just think they look like a better team with him in it. And they have Chelsea are a bit weird because I don't think anyone really is tipping them for anything significant this season. And I think they probably won't win the Premier League. I think probably like Liverpool will win the Premier League. But I think Chelsea could end up doing something interesting. They have the players. They have, I think, probably quite a good head coach on the back of last season. I wouldn't have said that at the start of last season. And I think João Pedro is the sort of signing they needed to make to go from like 5th place and not able to compete in something like the Champions League to 2nd or 3rd place and able to compete in like a knockout tournament like that.
Well, Tim Spears has João Pedro in at number 41, but I assume largely because he also includes the line petulant and quite annoying, but also great to watch. There you go.
I mean, don't those things combine sometimes?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Absolutely. I know another petulant and annoying guy. On a completely separate note, John, who will you think you'll be looking back at the end of the season and thinking, oh, that was the best transfer?
I think João Palhinha, yeah. I think it's hard to argue with that.
Really?
No.
Poor old Tim.
Sorry, Tim. Yeah.
It's
Imagine being asked to rank 155 transfers
it's awful.
and then being torn apart on the podcast.
You literally can't do that kind of list as well.
You shouldn't have said yes, Tim. Your editor is a bad man.
I also literally spoke to him an hour ago about a future ranking project. So like, I think his list is excellent.
The guy who edited it is also shitting on it as well. But go on.
When it comes to like the best transfer, I guess it will depend on who we think is going to end up winning the league.
I don't know that it will.
You don't think?
No, I think it's all relative to the club that they're joining, the task they're being asked to do. I think, for example, to take Manchester United as an example, if Mbeumo scored 20 goals and was the first Manchester United player to do that in however many, since Van Persie, but Man United finished 8th, I would still think that could be classed as like the best transfer.
Fair. Okay, I'll say 2 then. I'll say Jack Grealish.
Yep.
Will probably for a lot of people be that guy because I think he'll thrive having to. The funny thing about Jack Grealish is that like people love to say, I know Pep killed Grealish, and you're entitled to that opinion. I think that what actually ends up happening in those situations is you take a guy who thrives in like large spaces, playing for a team where they are going to make generally sort of transitional runs and thrive in those situations, and you put him into a different system where actually when the things you're doing with the ball are often about having to control possession, etc. And it changes your colour of how you view that player. And I think Jack Grealish is really going to thrive going back to playing Everton football with David Moyes. And I think a lot of people say good for him and also good for football. And I agree with that. So I think
he should have made a different move. I think it's fair to say now, right?
Yeah, but I think it's hard to make
Newcastle.
And if you listen to any of the things that Jack Grealish says, it's clear that he enjoyed his time at City.
Sure.
And he values like the things that he won when he
found
was there.
a new best friend.
Yeah. And I think, it's too easy to like black and white it and say it was bad for him to go there and good for him to be elsewhere. I think he's just in a context now where he's able to thrive much better, and it's great.
You've really taken me down a peg or two there, John.
Yeah, I think it's important not to have these massive, naive, overarching.
Don't forget though, it is my job in order to allow you to shine.
It's true. It's true. The other one I would say is probably just has to be one of the Liverpool players, and it'll be whichever one does the best. So it'll be either Isak or Ekitike, but probably
which one?
Probably
not Wirtz.
I think that Wirtz is going to be slightly held back by the fact that what I said before, that stylistically maybe they're not going to get the most out of him. I think he'll still be good, and I think he'll still have some moments where he sort of has those incredible like assists / finishes.
Presumably it can't be Ekitike, because I would imagine now that Ekitike is going to spend rather a lot of time on the bench.
Yeah, I mean this is the $125 million question.
Right.
I did that thing that like journalists do when they make
Yeah.
an illusion. Did you like it?
You did a thing like a journalist. Well done, John. Well done. We've been waiting a long time.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll try and get Ekitike on. Both Ekitike and Isak can operate from the left, right? But today, maybe this time for me to run my Liverpool remind me a lot of Real Madrid at the moment.
Yeah.
Narrative, because
wait, say it like this though, so that it can be, and we can keep this bit in, Steve. Let the people at home witness the magic, okay?
The way the sausage is made.
Yeah. Now say it like it could be cut out to be a clip down, yeah? And then when you're watching your clip downs on TikTok at home and on Twitter, you'll know they weren't real.
Do you know what I found works really well when you do this?
What's that?
When you start off like this. Now, this is probably going to be quite controversial, Joe.
Oh.
But what I've been thinking when I'm watching Liverpool is that they remind me a lot of Real Madrid at the moment.
Another big team name.
Another big team name.
Wow.
What do you reckon to that? That was good.
I think that's great, and we can put that in the description also. So 2 big teams will be mentioned together.
You've
Please
taught me so
continue.
well. Are you proud of me right now?
Not really. I actually feel a bit sick.
But yeah, like with Liverpool, what we've got is now just an incredibly high talent base, which is good because players make the difference in games. That's the reality of it. Because, as you're saying before, like it doesn't matter how good your coach is. If you've got good players, you're over half of the way there to winning games. But there comes a point in which it becomes tricky to try and fit all of your talent into the same team, and that's not just from some players are going to fit in the same areas of the pitch and want to play there, which is that's what's happening at Real Madrid right now. And you've got Vinicius Junior and Mbappe both like to sort of operate in the same kind of areas. It also just when you have that amount of talent, it's then very hard to balance roles because every team needs to have what does JJ call them, water carriers. Every team needs someone who's doing the work to allow the better players to shine. It becomes very hard to do that when the players who are having to do the water carrying are the better players as well.
Yeah.
So that's what's been quite interesting watching Liverpool so far, and we've had this narrative with Real Madrid for like half a decade now, where sometimes you watch them and from a tactical point, it's sort of you can see all of these very obvious problems, and you think, why don't they fix these problems? But you get to the end of the game and they win anyway, right? Yeah. And that's I've started talking about like Galacticos tactics because I think that those it's tempting to say one team thrives in tactical situations and the other one thrives through moments or whatever. But I actually think that with Real Madrid, what they did quite well was they brought in players who could play in ways that sort of overcame some of the issues that you get when you have really good players. So, like for example, their defenders, I would describe a lot of Real Madrid's defenders as like Galactico defenders, which is they're not going to necessarily defend in structural ways where you're using the structure to kind of help you overcome problems. But they're all very, very good, like individual duel winners. They're all very athletic. They're all very mobile. So I'm thinking players like Antonio Rudiger, right, where if you play the ball in behind and your team falls to pieces because the structure isn't great, but the ball goes in behind, he's going to get to the ball. He's going to defend that duel as well as anyone in the world.
He's box office.
Yeah. And I think that's what you sort of do. And I think Liverpool, they did that a little bit last season, right? Like Liverpool fans were constantly complaining at us for not giving Slot his due in their eyes, or his flowers. I think to an extent it's quite hard because a lot of what was happening was like a lot of the structural meta tactical stuff, like there was obvious flaws with it. But it didn't matter because they got Virgil van Dijk at the back, saving them week in, week out. And Slot would be quick to point this out and say, it doesn't matter if our press doesn't work out and we allow the opposition to get through. We've got players like Virgil van Dijk who can make the difference. That's Galactico tactics. It's like you making sure you've got the players to overcome.
I like to call them Galactica kicks.
The Galactic kicks.
Galactics.
Galactics.
Nice.
Intergalactics and the tactics and the tactics and I'm JJ Bull. Hey.
But yeah, none of this is to say that I don't think that Slot is going to try and find these sort of broader structural meta solutions.
Yeah.
But I think when you have that amount of good players, you can just sort of solve problems in moments like they've done in a number of games so far, right? But there's going to be some games like the Crystal Palace game where they don't do that. But and I think that informs then the decision about, let's just say he throws Isak and Ekitike on and has Salah as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that you're maybe in your final third, your in possession structure isn't perfect because those guys can all produce moments.
Yeah.
And they will do. And so I think the player. If Liverpool end up winning the league again, I think that it will be very easy to point to one of those three. Well, obviously it won't work with Salah because he wasn't signed, but like one of the other two, like it'll be easy to be like, they wouldn't have done it without this player. This is the best signing.
Yeah, okay. That was really interesting. It was a terrible shot. I can't wait to see what Steve does with that. If Steve even tries, you know. Yeah. I hope my bit gets in there where I say box office. That'll be my inclusion in the short. Anyway, lovely. It's nice to know. We've got one question left, which is which club had the best transfer window? So you can have a think about that while I say we did have a whole section of other transfer-related topics, but I'll tell you that quite a lot of the players that were listed there have already been mentioned. So we might just be able to skip ahead to talking about some club football that we missed from over the weekend, Steve.
I will ask, though, that you do the bit, since you asked me to get other deadline day moves that you may have missed.
Oh, yeah. Because Steve had to put work in.
Exactly.
So we'll read it aloud.
Yeah.
Not a problem,
busy
Steve.
man.
We'll do that. Before we get there, though...
Does Kaya not get a player?
Oh, shit, Kaya, I'm sorry. I forgot about you there, Kaya, because I was so enthralled by the short. The box office. I felt like I was watching TikTok.
We're going like 100 miles an hour, yeah.
I was watching TikTok in an elderly person's home on a laptop, you know, on a computer.
It's honestly fine. I mean, I was actually going to choose João Pedro, then I was going to choose Jack Grealish, then I was going to choose Hugo Ekitike, so... I have gone for Tijani Reinders as who I think will be the best.
I think
look
that's
back on
true.
As the best signing.
I already looked back on that after week one. It was very easy to see after the Wolves game. It was like, hey, I think this guy's going to be good.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I had hotter takes, but I've been reduced to my fourth hottest take.
He's been the last one every time as well. You've not even snaked it and switched
that's a real shame.
This is your calendar. You go around you go around the table in the same way you go around the calendar.
By linear time.
You and I, Amitai, would have gone. We would have changed the order. We'd have been like,
I'm going to say a couple of different ones. Yeah. I don't know, just to throw some in there because I like the mentions
like a short. So
I'll make it like a short. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say something really controversial. I'm going to say something outrageous, and it's about how I hate. And also, it's about. And what else do people like to watch on the internet?
Rise and Grind?
Rise and Grind.
This is my morning routine.
This is my morning routine. It's also about how I get such a tough bod.
What about a day in the life of a
Come with me.
My 5 to 9 after my 9 to 5.
My 5 to 9 and also, I am a famous movie star and I'm being interviewed by Vanity Fair. Yeah? Probably cut that bit out where I talk about hating. Something got cut. Unfortunately, my shorts are not safe for work. Now, anyway, I'm glad that we already mentioned Jack Grealish because, I think it's an easy one to see and say, but I'm an easy guy and I love to see and say things. I think he's going to play well. His move to Everton is enough for me to want to watch Everton, as well as being happy that David Moyes did a good job with Everton towards the end of last season. I like that, and I like the story that it sort of starts to tell.
I've got a nice dinner lined up, right?
With Jack Grealish?
No, you and I.
That's
a lot
right.
riding on that.
Hey, this is true. If Everton finish top half, then John has to buy me an expensive dinner. If Everton finish bottom half, then I have to buy John an expensive dinner. So David Moyes, Jack Grealish, please do
I've got a funny feeling it's going to be like he's going to be 10th or 11th. It's going to be one or the other.
It's going to be down to the wire for sure. As long as Jack Grealish doesn't get injured and David Moyes doesn't get sacked, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. But apart from that, I also think Anthony Elanga to Newcastle is a good. I think that's the kind of deal that if it had happened in a January and it was like the 7th biggest deal of January, people would be talking about it more. Just because he's a player who had success with his prior move and he was great at Forest. And he's so fast in that team with. With more space now also because Isak has departed. I just think he's going to rack up a few goals this season. And I think come the end of the season, we'll look back, if he scored 12 goals, maybe. It would be very funny if that happened with a Newcastle player at the end of the season after everyone spent most of the window laughing at them. I know, well also, but like after that deal had already happened, right? Like that one's just gone, we're not talking about that. People narrated that one away, didn't they? They were like, I think that's part of the reason I'm drawn to it is because we spent the whole window like looking at these bigger players that they didn't inevitably get. They've already signed some pretty good players. That was the ongoing theory during the window was that if Isak goes, as long as they sign 2 strikers, which they've done, right, and the rest of their business actually filled like every gap in the squad they needed filling. And I don't know, I think they could do quite well. They started quite well, relatively. Not like Villa. I literally drew no Villa. That first game was bad. Yeah. Villa are my
they might get relegated team of the season.
I did have a little wobble. I mean, I got accused earlier this week of just looking at what the table currently says and then saying things. And Villa are in the relegation zone right now.
But Jacob Tanswell of The Athletic wrote a really good article on the eve of the season about their transfer business. And at no point did he say they might get relegated.
Because that would be madness to say that.
It was also, I don't think that's his opinion as well.
No, sure.
But I was working...
No self-respecting journalist would say that.
No. Just ridiculous people like me. But I actually spoke to him that day about something else to do with work. And I said to him, I was like, I've read your piece. This has the vibes of a relegation season. Yeah. There was something about it. It was they lost players. Yeah. They hadn't signed players. They've now signed players who aren't necessarily that good.
They panicked.
They panicked. They didn't have money to spend per se. Yeah. Like they've just got the vibes of like Unai Emery being sacked in December and them trying to find someone to keep them
Sean Dyche.
Yeah. Or like some European manager you've heard is quite good, but actually turns out not to be very good when they get to the...
Marco Bizzot. It does feel a lot like that, doesn't it? I'm sure Villa won't get relegated. I'm sure they won't.
They probably won't,
but
there's vibes.
There's vibes. No one's going to deny those vibes, right? Are you denying those vibes? Anyone denying those vibes?
I always deny vibes in all forms.
That's true. But so that's not specific to this situation. We can take that as rote that you're not really denying the vibes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's our bit on Villa. Good luck for the season, Aston Villa fans. I'm sure there'll be lots of stories to talk about. And then the last thing to address here, which club has won the transfer window? What a strange
Why don't we go with Kaya first on this?
Yeah, let's go with Kaya first. What a strange question, Kaya. Who's won the transfer? Which club do you think's come out best? And make it quick fire.
Aston Villa.
Oh, for the vibes.
Yeah, for the vibes. No, I think Arsenal. Because they've addressed every hole in their squad, even though there are still some question marks over how they chose
some holes.
Fill those holes. Yes,
I don't think they've addressed every hole, have they?
Yeah, they've got.
Did they work out where Declan Rice is supposed to play?
Oh!
Or is it? No, they didn't do that. Did they? Yeah. I guess they did. I guess they did buy another 6.
Another left back.
And another centre back, right?
And another 8. He plays in the left-sided spot.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Filled.
Okay. Oh, filled, yeah. He's been colluding with Steve, of course. John?
I think Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth have done incredible business, not least because they had to sell most of their back line.
Yeah.
But they brought in a few players towards the end of the... I thought they'd had a decent window anyway, and then they brought in a couple of... I'd been thinking, it'd be great if they had a right back option because they've been playing Adam Smith for ages, and I love Adam Smith. I think he's great, but
I've been thinking that too. Actually,
yeah. But you're just thinking about capitalism, aren't you?
Right. I am.
I'm talking about the football player.
Yeah. I was thinking about just Scottish people generally.
Okay, yeah. Well, and they brought in Alex Jimenez from AC Milan on loan.
Yeah.
They brought in a youngster from Red Star Belgrade as a backup centre back who I thought they were a bit thin in that area, and they've done another thing where they brought in a highly touted young centre back to develop, and we've seen what happens when they do that. So yeah, I think I'm pretty impressed, and they've got players. I mentioned Ben Gannon Doak before. They brought in Amin Adli from Leverkusen as well. There's like lots of fun players now in positions, despite the fact they've had to sell a lot of players. They're coming out of this actually looking pretty good.
Cool. So the 2 choices so far are just the teams that these guys support. That's good to know. What about you?
I'm a Leeds fan.
Yeah,
he's a Leeds fan. We're not going to say
no. Neither of us
are going to say Leeds.
John's abandoned Leeds. Come on, he's a full-on Bournemouth supporter.
If you cut my heart in twain, Joe, it bleeds the white rose of Yorkshire.
Do you know, when I went to Warwick Castle the other day, I did think of you because did we talk about Warwick Castle on here?
Yeah, we talked about the trebuchet. In fact, we should clear up some fake news that you...
Yeah. No. We re-cleared the fake news. Fake news to which John is alluding to here is that, forgive me, I can't remember our listener's name.
Seb. What's his surname? The guy
Stafford Broad.
The only Seb I know.
It's a listener of ours who had visited Warwick Castle not too long ago, although some years, let's say, and he did see. Not only did they discharge something from the trebuchet Amatai. Do you know what I'm talking about?
As in, do I know what you mean when they say discharging something from a trebuchet? Yeah. I can guess.
The thing they discharged from the trebuchet was on fire, aflame. It was a flame.
A flaming discharge.
It was a flaming discharge. Anyway, I saw a video of this. It was a real thing. They do not do it now. Okay, we had to clear this up, and obviously they don't do it for safety reasons. you
showed me
simply
the video.
cannot fling a flaming thing from a trebuchet.
Having never been to Warwick Castle,
Yeah.
where is Warwick Castle relative to like the population of Warwick?
It's in the town.
Yeah,
it's
so
in the town.
you definitely can't.
I think
fling
it-
They
I
have a
think
lot of
anything from
space
the
out the
castle.
back. But
I
you showed
feel
me the
like it's-
video, and they threw a very big thing.
A big
and
flaming
it
thing.
just disappears. It goes so far you can't see it anymore. It's just like, okay, I guess that's gone.
Imagine being the person living in like the new build on the edge of Warwick. And they're like, oh, they're flinging the
Honey.
flaming things.
Batten down the hatches.
I wish I could
Mad.
go back and find. Okay, here we go. Oh, this isn't that funny. April 11th, 2015. Warwick Castle trebuchet fireball sparked boathouse blaze. A blaze thought to have been caused by a fireball.
They
I don't
don't
know.
know.
It could have been
They
something
don't know
else.
because it goes so far you can't see where it lands.
It was launched from a trebuchet at Warwick Castle. Has destroyed a historic boathouse. This is from the BBC. Sparks from the projectile are believed to have ignited the blaze. Around 300 spectators were watching a demonstration of the weapon, described as the world's largest working siege machine, when the thatched building caught fire on Friday evening. Sorry, I spat all over the table. Anyway, so to our listener, did you get his name?
Seb Wassell.
Seb Wassell from Football Manager, or just Seb Wassell, who's also presumably 16 hours of the day isn't just from Football Manager. They did. I'm delighted for you that you got to see a flaming projectile, but I didn't because they don't do it anymore for obvious safety reasons. Warwick Castle. Anyway, why did I bring it up? Oh, because they also do. So it's a great place, Warwick Castle. They also do a reenactment of the War of the Roses. And I stood on the Yorkshireman's side by
Yes.
accident because, of course, as you know, I'm a Lancashireman. And so I kept thinking, I should be on the other side, but I've got a good view here, so, I'll just stay. And every time the white rose horse man came round and said, for Leeds, the white rose, I didn't cheer, but I also didn't cheer for the red rose of Lancashire because it felt sort of like, ostentatious to do that in the Leeds section.
So
Do you know what I mean?
you're an away fan in the home section. You had to sit on your hands just in case you accidentally jumped up and
I
screamed.
was a conservative away fan at a jousting affair. And
I just love the idea that they would have stewards at those events where they're like, no, leading Joe away.
this guy's from Lancashire. Get him round the other side.
You've ended up with a jousting banning order.
That is true. I mean, everyone should have a jousting banning order because it is very dangerous.
We should also say that no one was injured or indeed killed during the Warwick Castle.
Well, we don't know that
fireball.
because they don't even know where the fireball came from. Steve, it could have just been a coincidence that they were launching a flaming fireball at the same time that a fire started. Who could say? Someone could have been smoking in the historic boat.
There was a bit of wind, apparently, a bit of wind which caught the the thatched boathouse on fire. But crucially,
Yeah. Listen. Warwick Castle, delightful place. Warwick Castle, absolutely.
Don't get him started
I
again.
loved it at Warwick Castle. I can't speak highly enough about
I mean, to the
Warwick
extent that you
Castle.
considered moving to Warwick, that's quite committed to the.
Oh man, don't get me started on the falconry display. Now, what are we talking about? No, let's move on from. Oh wait, did we do?
We
it all?
mentioned Leeds.
Leeds.
Yeah.
No,
We
who's
mentioned
your
Leeds.
who's your club?
Yeah, it's definitely not Leeds.
Not Leeds.
Not
Warwick.
Leeds. Not Warwick.
No.
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 I'm going to have to say Liverpool. I think
Liverpool.
they'll probably win the league, and the players
Yeah.
they've signed will probably be quite important to that. They're already all playing. So yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
£500 million well spent. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I did see I'm trying to remember which team it actually was now that played. They played into Miami I guess it was in the MLS the other day, and their fans had a tifo that read out, "You can't buy success." And I thought, you definitely can. I get the sentiment. I understand why they're displaying it, and of course, in the case of Inter Miami, it's not really worked out that well. But just have a quick look at the Premier League, and I think it's all up for grabs. It's all available if you've got enough cash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know we've been trailing talking about Bournemouth, but you've mentioned them several times already in the podcast. I wonder if we save that for another episode and instead talk about Brighton Man City, which is a game we skipped on Monday, largely because you weren't there, and we knew that you would have thoughts about it. It's another loss for Manchester City in what I think is fair to describe now as a bad start to the season.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't watch the game, so I'm curious. Last week I asked you, when they came out with their bad result, is this more of the same as last season, or is it a new problem? We talked about it a bit then. What's happened with this game, with the Brighton game?
Yeah, I mean, the difficult thing of analysing City at the moment is that you watch them and I think that they don't look bad for long stretches of the game.
Right.
And then they just get caught out with like really silly moments, right? Which is what happened in the Brighton game, right? They were, I mean, according to the underlying numbers, at the point where Matheus Nunes handballs the ball, like City comfortably like winning that game and deserving to. They have that moment, everything falls apart, and then Brighton end up putting, after that point, another on top of the penalty, like another XG and a half on top of what they've done, and this is in like the last 20 minutes of the game, right? It's a proper,
which is something
collapse.
We saw
again and again last season,
right? That one silly moment, and then they fall
and I
apart.
think last season, a lot of the time that was coming from just bozo moments, as I call them, where it's not something you look at that and you say there's not really necessarily a structural explanation for why this has happened. It's just someone's made a decision which is just torched everything to the ground. And I think the temptation is to carry that narrative on a little bit this season and be like, it's just bozo moments, and you get that certainly with Nunes, and I mean he's handballing the ball like this above his head for Lewis Dunk's kicking the ball out of play, it's going 20 yards over the bar.
Well, you pointed out even Rodri noting this after the game, right?
Yeah, Rodri Rodri came out after the game and basically said there's a lack of concentration, there's a lack of sensibility out there. We're just making bad decisions that should be eradicated. This shouldn't. And he's saying, this is things that you would expect no footballer to make, let alone professional footballers at the highest level. So that's definitely going on. But I think watching the game back, it just became so obvious that there were huge defensive structural issues with the way that City were playing. And what happens in the game is once Brighton get to a point, they start recognising how to really start skewering those problems.
Yeah.
And then from that point onwards, like the whole game is just like, okay, are City going to draw? Hold on for a draw, or are they going to lose? That was those are the two
it's
options.
Not just the system's fine and then the players lose their heads and make a couple of mistakes.
Yeah.
You think there's something systematic
and
well?
Obviously that there's there's an overlap between those things, right? If your system is on the balance and then you make that mistake and then everything falls to pieces,
you get wobbly.
Yeah, you get wobbly. But essentially, modern pressing theory, the idea is that as much as possible, you want to go player to player. And the reason for that is because we'd had all of these zonal approaches beforehand, which were, you got Pep Guardiola and his positional play, and his teams were really good at finding space in those structures, moving the ball through lines of pressure, and then, basically being able to manipulate the opponent just through passing the ball around. So we've moved now to this player to player, like you want to go player to player, because if you don't do that, then you're at risk of just being passed through.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go player to player the whole time, really. Some teams do now, especially in leagues where you're the best team. You just take the player to player duels and you say we're probably going to come out on top more often than not.
PSG or something.
Yeah, PSG have gone player to player in a lot of games. So have Bayern Munich, did it for a while last season as well. So you do see that happening. But most teams want to be careful to not just allow themselves to be manipulated, because you can manipulate teams when it's player to player, because they're following you, so you can move around and you can do various things.
Yeah.
But most teams, they what they're going to try and do is start in these zonal structures and then jump player to player in certain phases. So they'll force the ball out wide. Maybe you'll have seen it happen, like when the opponent's trying to build up, force them into one side. Everyone jumps player to player on that side, and there will be free players on the other side of the pitch.
But it's hard to get a pass over to them.
It's hard to get the ball to them. So that's the idea. And what we've started seeing is like a lot of clubs now are very good at having hybrid players who sit between a couple of marking responsibilities, and they move depending on what's happening in the game. So you have to start interpreting what's going on and working it out. Usually
that's one of the front three, right?
It depends. I think that the central midfielders have to do a lot of that.
Really?
So for example, Arsenal, they use they'll usually use they were using a 4-4-2 diamond, so that's a 4 diamond 2, and they'll have a defensive midfielder, and he'll move one side or the other depending on which side the ball is on, because the opponent will probably have 2 8s or advanced 8s. So,
but the reason I say that, and just to help people visualize it in their minds, is lots of teams have 3 players up front, maybe a central 9 and then two wingers. but most teams have 4 defenders. And so you already have like 1 extra defender plus the goalkeeper than you do your 3 forwards. If you're pressing like player for player, then you have to just push so many people forward.
Yeah, so most teams did move to 4-4-2 shapes because opponents tended to have 4 in the back line, right? So what you do is push your 10 up alongside the striker, so then you can match them against the back line. The difficulty is with the goalkeeper, because that adds another player. So you're always going to have probably someone who's a bit hybrid, who's going to be able to jump on the goalkeeper if you want to. But essentially, the theory is then that what you want to be able to do is have these structures which allow you access to all of the players on the pitch. And a lot of these guys are doing double coverage when they're defending as well. Now, City did that against Brighton. They wanted to do this sort of modern pressing approach, but they did it in such a incredibly aggressive way that it just left them completely wide open. So just a couple of examples of that. One of them is that most teams, we've just talked about going hybrid on the goalkeeper, right? So you'd maybe have your striker starting out on one centre-back, and if the goalkeeper has the ball, then curving their run, stopping the passing lane between them, and then putting pressure on the goalkeeper. So you basically got a 1v2 in that situation. City were going 1v1 on the goalkeeper from goal kick. So Haaland, his only job was to press the goalkeeper, no other player, which meant that then City had to commit more players forward in order to mark the player that usually your striker would be moving from to the goalkeeper, right? So you're already committing too many players forward in that sense. Brighton were doing the thing they like to do, which is they keep their wingers high and their strikers and 10 drop off. And usually what teams do is they follow with their centre-backs. So your centre-backs go forward, and the idea is that you've opened up space which you can then attack. But what they were doing is they were moving their centre-backs wide to cover the wingers, and then using like a really weird hybrid system of using the full-backs and Rodri to cover the striker in the 10 and also the opposition fullback. So
maybe just like quite unnecessarily complicated.
So the reason I mentioned all of the stuff about the hybrid system is because there's clearly like someone who's operating behind the scenes at City, who's in charge of the out of possession stuff, who is up to date with hybrid pressing theory, like the modern theory about how you should arrive in these 1-to-1 situations. But the problem is that when you actually watch it and see how it breaks down, because what ends up happening when you have players between other players is they have to jump one side or the other, depending on which way the ball goes. And there's so many instances. I've done a thread on Twitter because I realize a lot of this is quite theoretical and it's kind of hard to imagine. But there's lots of examples where you can see all that Brighton have to do is play the ball to their fullback, and City are too slow to arrive jumping on the fullback because both fullbacks are free. And when they do that, then they're leaving all of these passing lanes open so that you can get from one side of the pitch to the other very easily, right? Which is what we said before. It's fine when you're making it hard to go from one side of the pitch to the other. When you're making it easy, you just end up with overloads on the far side. This was happening a ton as well. The biggest problem, and this is if you watch the goal that Brighton scored, the winner, essentially what City were doing is they were jumping the fullback onto the opposition fullback when the ball was passed to them from the goalkeeper or whatever. And then the rest of the City back line has to move across, but they can't ever move quickly enough to make sure they're
so there's just always
jumping.
passes available.
And essentially the ball just goes down. What Brighton started doing is just playing balls into the channel in behind, and they end up with a 4v3 through not having to do very much hard work at all. So
it sounds like a system.
I can't believe that they're using this system. Essentially, it's one of the worst, I think, ideas I've seen for trying to stop a team from being able to score a goal.
Which is not something you would usually say about Manchester City.
And I mean, at the end of my thread, I talked about, like, in 22-23 season, I think City were arguably the best out of possession team in the world. They very quickly got seceded by Arsenal. But since then, City have just consistently got worse and worse and worse. So to the extent now that I think normally we would probably be talking about, well, City are a little bit underwhelming on the ball. They're not creating enough problems, but that's okay because their out-of-possession system is good enough to prevent the opponent from scoring. Now they're in a situation where we're not even talking about them in possession because their out-of-possession approach is so bad that you can't even see a world where their defending can give them the base from which their attack can then work. So it's quite worrying if you're a Man City fan, I suppose. But it's kind of weird for someone like me who's, people think of me as being a City fan because I've admired the way that City have played in the past. But it's getting to a point now where I watch it and I'm like, this is bad football on both sides of the ball, and it's hard to see how you turn that around.
Jesus.
So yeah,
it's a momentous moment, isn't it? We were here, Emma Time. Kaya, you were here too. when we found out that John hates Pep Guardiola.
So thanks for indulging me there, because I realise that's a very roundabout way of trying to explain what's going on. But
it feels like a big deal.
It is a big deal because you look at that and you think this is like actively poor.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know how you turn it around. And if that's the case and it happens all season, like where is this City team going to finish? It's probably going to finish mid-table, if that.
Well, speaking of actively poor, I f***ed up already. Never mind. Amatai, thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for
John,
having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kaya?
Thank you.
Sorry, you didn't get to talk much on today's episode, but did you enjoy listening?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I'll take the thank you.
Great. Thanks anyway.
That's all right.
All right. See you later. Yeah?
Lovely. Yeah, good call. I think that was I feel perfectly full as an audible meal.
We've all had a
What did
stroke.
you say?
Are you okay?
You feel perfectly full.
To use the analogy of like a meal, an
I see,
audible
as in it
meal.
was a tasty audio
Tasty
meal.
audio
Right.
treat.
Gorged himself on all
That's
the
not what
balls.
you said the first
I
time.
feel perfectly full as an audible meal.
You said a force
Yeah.
audible ball.
I was thinking auditory. That's not the word. Audible.
Okay.
Yes.